of the other things I liked about the book, the Leadership Accelerator, is the fact that at the end of each chapter, you have a great summary, but you also include, I guess, what I would call a table or a template, if you will,
We
for
called it the workout.
a workout. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And the idea was that we didn't want a book that you just read, before you go to bed and have a nice sleep.
Right.
We wanted a book that, at the end of each chapter, there was something really actionable. And you thought about your context, your situation, and you said, here's what I have to do going forward. And
Right.
here's how I need to think about things and incorporate the learnings from the book
Right. And I think,
to make me more
yeah,
successful.
right. And I think when you look at those workout templates, if you will, right, over the course of that book, if you use those workout sheets correctly, you've laid out a plan
You
for them
begin
to
to lay out
follow.
a plan.
And
Yeah,
if the CEO or CFO has time where they can reflect on what they've gone through and they make those notes in the worksheet or the workout sheet, good for them for being able to
exactly.
reflect and put down on paper what they see and what they've felt and what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great,
Absolutely.
great. So I know we talked about one of the key takeaways of the book has been that you've busted the myth of the 90-day, 100-day
Yeah,
plan. Uh, in your mind, what are some other one or two key takeaways from this book?
terrific. So coming back to the busting the myth, the first thing I want to do is give everybody the gift of time to realize, hey, this is a process. It takes 6 months to a year to really settle in into the role. The second thing is really think through, the individuals on your direct leadership team and also uh, the layers below in terms of really having the skip levels
Right,
and make sure we almost within the first 6 months to a year, you partner with your HR business partner, if you have one, to really put in place a talent agenda.
hmm,
Because the team that you have, the team that you build is the engine for your success. And it really takes about a day a week in the first 6 months to a year. And I think people often underestimate how much time it takes to really build a great organization. Understand the capabilities you need and the capacity you need around your key initiatives.
yeah,
Another thing is I said time and energy are your two most valuable resources. Nobody makes more time. Energy you can renew. So you cannot peanut butter your time.
right,
Don't have more than 5 signature initiatives. If you have three, terrific. If you have five, great. But that's going to you be very disciplined about how much time you spend
right,
on each of your initiatives and be disciplined about that. And one thing you may want to do, think about all the things that your organization does that you should stop doing. When you take on a new role, it's a great time. If you stop doing unnecessary reports, you're freeing up people's time. And
right,
they'll be happy for it most of the time because it's freeing them up to do more important things.
yeah,
So build capacity around time early on.
yeah,
And then the third thing, hey, relationships either make it easy for you or make it difficult for you.
right,
So work on relationships, make the time to connect with your stakeholders, figure out what they want, but more importantly, figure out what they do not want,
hmm,
because those are the hidden landmines. So, you
right,
know, really think through a relationship strategy.
yeah,
It's really remarkable to me. Many times in our transition labs, people completely underestimate the importance of a communication strategy. The higher you go in an organization, the more you have to scale leadership. In order for you to get people to follow what you want to accomplish, to be a follower to your leadership. You have to communicate authentically, invite them into your transformational initiatives, and get them to execute. To do that, you have to communicate in a way that scales.
Right.
And often that's not considered well. So we put a whole chapter in there just to think about communications.
Right.
And so many times that's what leaders underestimate in doing. There's
Yeah.
so many other things I could cover. The last thing I'll say is, when we started, it was about managing time, talent, relationships. As I keep saying, you're not hired for the status quo.
Right.
You're hired to transform performance to the next level. So
Exactly.
there are sections that sort of help you identify what are the things you'd have to transform? What are the risks you have to manage? How do you engage cultural transformation? All of these things are often key to unlocking performance. I
Yeah.
know that was a long answer. There's just a lot of stuff.
That's okay. I'm sure
We covered.
we could have several more interviews
Yeah.
until we cover the entire book. But I know one of the things you mentioned in the book about time was
Yeah.
that you've talked to these executives and they report they're working what 70, 75, 80 hours a week, and
Not sustainable.
it's not sustainable in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
So
think once you take that hard look, there are some things that you shouldn't be doing.
yeah.
And you take them on because someone asked you to, or you want to be shown it to being collaborative. But at the end of the day, they're probably energy sappers, if you will, right?
So, as I said, it's really important to determine what are the 3 to 5 things that help you bring value to a company and where your team can bring the most value.
Right.
And really double down and focus on those.
Yeah.
Look historically at what you've done and say, what can you give up doing?
Right.
So that you can reallocate time to what's important.
And that's when that self-reflection comes in, right? I know a lot of people try to self-reflect over the Christmas and New Year's holidays, but perhaps we should be doing that more often than once a year.
I'd say almost every 6 months you want to retake stock
Exactly.
on what you're doing. It's
Exactly.
really interesting. One of the CFOs I work with over a 5-year period did a transition lab 4 times, even though he knew the process well, because it was a day he could safely self-reflect
Right.
and reset his priorities and rethink how he took his team continuously to the next level.
Yeah. Great advice. We're talking with Dr. Ajit Kambil, his book, The Leadership Accelerator. And I wanted to kind of close out our time together today. I know we could talk a lot more about every chapter in the book, but I wanted to, we do these podcasts, Executive Insights podcasts, as a way to inspire our students, right? Our School of Business, like many others, has an MBA program and a bachelor's program. Based on your career path, what did you learn along the way that you think would be a benefit to our business school students about either careers, employment, etc.?
It's really interesting. I was also fortunate enough to do a study at Deloitte on how women CFOs journeyed into that role, which is, it's a challenging thing, right? Breaking the glass ceiling and all that. And what I found were in sort of 4 buckets. There were a series of traits that were really important.
Right.
I alluded to curiosity as a trait that was very important to my success. Courage is another trait. Integrity is a critical trait. So courage, curiosity, integrity. But the other one was perseverance. People call it grit.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody persevered in something. So I think those 4 traits are not just built in, but you can practice and build and those traits. They were sort of critical skills. 2 of them were learning how to negotiate. learning how to get to consensus on what both want is a win-win solution. There was sort of sales skills, learning how to sell your ideas, your
Hmm.
value to the organization. Those were important skills. Another thing that was really important was at different moments in your career journey, there'll be a fire out there. And
Hmm.
there'll be some people who will run to put out the fire and others who will choose not to run to the fire.
Right.
Choose to run to the fire because you will learn, through the crisis to being at the scene, to doing things,
Right.
the skills that are going to be very valuable to you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Very.
I didn't know much about the internet when I started. I just knew enough. I was a techie, but there was a lot of stuff, right, that I had to learn. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about transitions till I started doing the research and finding it important. So run to an opportunity.
Sure.
Don't just stick with what you know. Run to learn to expand yourself, right?
Yeah.
And the last thing was, it was about things like sponsors and mentors.
Yes.
It was what we found was two things were important: role models. Figure out who's a good role model that you want to be like.
Hmm.
Figure out the role models you don't want to be like, because that's as important to say who you want to become, right?
Sure.
And then what we found were sponsors were a lot more important than mentors. Sponsors allow you to do stuff. They put you in situations that stretch you and give you the license to get things done. So at times I was really lucky to have sponsors who allowed me to take on projects and accomplish things I couldn't have previously.
Yeah. I mean, coaches, mentors, sponsors, they're all part of that, I guess, ecosystem of people, as you did with me many years ago, kind of showing me the ropes in many ways that allowed me to develop my talents and my expertise. And, I think if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Absolutely.
Again, we've been talking with Dr. Ajit Kambil, author of the new book, The Leadership Accelerator. Ajit, thank you so much for being willing to reconnect after some time apart. I certainly appreciate your time. Good luck with the book, and
Thank you.
it's a pleasure to have you on this Executive Insights podcast.
And Mark, thank you for inviting me and great to reconnect.